From the Vox Populi studios in Miami Lakes, we bring you the Miami Lakes Business Podcast, brought to you by the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. I do want to take the time right now to thank our members from BB's Bakehouse, who've graciously sent us a box of goodies, which we'll try after the podcast. So thank you very much at BB's. And today, we've never had three people at the same time. And three dear people, people that are, peers of our community and well-respected, and all members of the Miami Lakes Bar Association. And one of them was elected president in this past year, or in this year, actually, for this year. And the other two were guest speakers at our luncheon in March, and did a great job and was very informative, for everybody. So I'd like to welcome Mirelis Castilla, Gloria Garcia, and Sugel Morales to our podcast. So welcome. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Good, wonderful. So we'll see how this goes. You guys jump in at any time. I'm not going to ask whatever question or comment. You just jump in. Feel free to do it. This is all very natural and very, matter of fact. Not, nothing pre-rehearsed. Okay. So I know you all practice law, and I think you practice different types of law. Now, do you work out of the same office, or you have separate offices that you work, whatever you do, whatever you specialize in? I know, Gloria, you specialize in workers' comp.
Right.
And Sugel, you...
I do employment law, but we're not in the same office, which now that you say it might be a good idea for us. You might have just come up with an idea for us. But no, we're all in different offices, carrying on our own lives, although we're in a group chat, so we might as well be in the same office sometimes.
It is you?
And I also have my own practice out of downtown Miami. I mean, I work mostly from home, remote, but we have an office in downtown Miami.
And you're
and I practice in general liability, third party.
Okay, so actually three different fields,
Yes.
And I know that you, Gloria, and Sugel, you kind of complement,
We do.
overlap in many cases.
Yeah, we refer to each other. It's a nice relationship within the community.
So, tell me a little bit about as a woman. Tell me about the challenges that you have faced in the law world. Because I know that there's a lot of man lawyers, and in your field or whatever. And what are the challenges that you have faced?
I practice litigation, right? So going to court a lot, and it's male dominated, right? Ever since I started, every time I would walk into a deposition in a courtroom, they thought I was the court reporter, the one that takes everything down for the record. So I had to always say, no, I'm here, I'm the attorney. I'm a woman, but I'm the attorney. So that's one of the challenges, always having, no female mentors, mostly male, dominated managing partners that I had to account to. And that was one of the biggest challenges, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think I would piggyback off of Morales' statement, because I also litigate, and going to court, there's always the assumption that you're, the client or the translator or the court reporter. I can't tell you how many times I was asked if I was a court reporter. I actually, I was a partner at a law firm, and I was sitting across waiting, and an attorney, I made an appearance in a case. It was a big case, and the attorney just said, "Wow, they didn't make them like that when I was a young lawyer." So it's the statements, and also when you become a mom, I think, as women, we are also moms sometimes, right, if we choose to be. And that carries with it a whole different expectation. They expect for you to take time off, or they think because you're a mom, you're not working as hard.
Or efficient.
Or efficiently. But I think the reality, and I think you can both say the same thing, is we probably work more efficiently because we have to get everything done in half the time, because we have to care for our family and work at the same time.
Yeah, and just to add, because I think I'm probably the oldest in the group, but yes, I'm also a litigator. And when
You don't look the oldest.
Thank you, I appreciate it. But as a litigator, when I first started, I think now it's evolved a little bit more. when I first started, it was definitely male dominated, especially in workers' comp. And I do remember having my former partner at one point when I was pregnant, and he said, "Remember, something's got to give." And I started thinking about it, I wonder if he said the same thing to his male associates, or is it just me because I was handling the role of being a wife and a mom as well as a lawyer?
Yeah.
So I know you're all married and have kids. How do you balance the professional life and the wife, mother role? Is it easy? Is it very difficult?
Well, I just wanted, before because I'm sure we're going to, I think the word balance is the worst word that we can use, because there is no balance, right? It sets us up for women and moms as this expectation that there has to be some kind of level, playing field in both your mom life and your wife life and your attorney life. I call it a juggle, right? Because at all times you are juggling one part of your life, and if if you feel differently, chime in, but it's not balanced. And when I was a young attorney, someone mentioned, you have to aim for this like work-life balance, and I was constantly aiming for that, and I think that set me up for a feeling of failure. But I had a mentor, a partner at a big law firm, and when I was gearing up for my first trial, when I had my first son, she told me, "You're a great mom and a great lawyer. Some days you're going to be a good mom and a great lawyer, and other days you're going to be a great mom and a good lawyer. But when you're doing one, don't worry about the other, because you won't give it 100%. And that's really been what I try to do. When I'm doing one, I focus on one and, try to juggle them all and hope that none of my balls fall.
That's a good advice.
I agree with that 100%, because I think you're always choosing. You're choosing what your priority is at the moment. Some days it may be your family. Some days it may be work. And it's that constant prioritizing of situations that I think is the perfect balance, because there is no such thing. But I think as long as you have I was very fortunate to have a supportive husband, parents that helped me with my children, bust them around to dance and to this and to sports. And, at the end of the day, that helped a lot. But I wanted to be a present mom. I wanted to be the one not missing a game, etc. And we do carry a lot of that responsibility. And I think we put that guilt, that mom guilt, on ourselves. More than society does, I think it's us, because we are, I think, strong women that want to be present in everything and do 100% in everything we do.
Right, that's wonderful. Yeah, very
I
well.
completely agree with that. And to add to that, I was going to say that's what I do. I prioritize. If I'm in work gearing up for a trial, I'm not thinking about what else is going on. I have a tribe that helps me, a village. They say it takes a village. My parents help me a lot. My husband is super supportive, but I do that. I try to just concentrate on that, because I'm not going to be able to, like they said, be a great lawyer one day, be a great mom the other day. And when I'm present with the girls at their dance or whatever, it's all about their dance. I'm trying not to think about work. I'm trying not to look at the emails, even though it becomes hard, to balance that. But
And that tribe and that village that Morales speaks of is, invaluable. I mean, if you don't have it in our position, and whether it's the tribe and village that you are born with and your family, or the one that you can pay for. And I think that's something that not enough young lawyers are really taught as women. Sometimes you don't have family here, and it's okay to ask for help.
You have to manage for yourself.
And you have to pay for it, right? And you have to get the help and look for the help.
Be able present in something else, right?
And there shouldn't be any shame in that. And I think that's a big factor, that, you feel like as the mom, the woman, you have to play all the roles in the household. But, if you can pay for someone to clean the house on Saturdays so you spend time with your kids, then that's something you have to do.
And it's great to show that to your children as well, right? Especially if you have girls. I have two girls, so I like for them to see that, I'm present with them, but I'm also able to be full-time attorney, that I do well at my job. I think that's very important for kids.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. In having and I know you all do perform some kind of leadership within your peers, and through the Miami Lakes Bar Association, for example. How is that seen by the rest of the members? How do you relate to them, and how do you able to cope with that? And aside from all the other duties you have, the mom, being the wife, being the, the attorney, but then also you have civic addition to it. And I can tell you, because I've done it and I do it, and it could get pretty encumbersome sometimes when you see, when you see that you have no time to do this or to do that. So how do you manage that?
That's a great question for Gloria. She's like,
Yes.
she's my role model when it comes to that. I
Thank
aspire
you.
to be that.
Thank you. Well, when I first started with the Miami Lakes Bar, I was one of the founding members, and it was Anthony Diegues, that started the Bar Association. And he was an excellent example. And he was, very willing to work with us and accommodate. And I remember my office was in the Gables back then, and I used to drive to the meetings and then go back to work and make up the hours. And yes, and I think that all three of us are professional women that want to move the needle forward. And we want to set great examples. And I think we're community loving givers of Miami Lakes and our town and beyond. And I think that doesn't stop us from being great moms and lawyers. And I think it's a wonderful thing, a wonderful example. We do have great members, a lot of people that are willing to move the needle forward as well as us. But I think it comes from the drive from within. And you can be a great mom, and like she said, a perfect example to your children of everything that you can juggle. And you girls are a perfect example. You ladies are a perfect example of that.
Thank you. And it really helps to have like-minded women who support you and help you, because and I joked about our group chat, but it is an empowering group chat, right? It's all about you can do it. And just a little bit about me. I worked at a big firm in Coral Gables, and I wanted to go off on my own. I'm a Miami Lakes resident, and I had a good friend, Gloria, who I met. Gloria was also a Miami Laker, and she said, "Do it. Don't think about it. Open your own firm." Right? She had no reason to have all this faith in me, but she did. And she said, "Do it." And I did. And I remember that lunch, and I opened my firm here in Miami Lakes because this is our community, right? And I want this community to thrive. And I think that's part of why we're involved in the, Miami Lakes Bar Association. We want to see young lawyers that are coming up now have opportunities that maybe we didn't have in Miami Lakes because it wasn't as popular back then. But this is a booming town that's growing with a lot of opportunities.
A lot of talent.
A lot of talent.
A lot of talent. And what I love the most is to see young people like you guys. Gloria, you too, because you're young, compared to me. You are young.
I feel like I'm no longer in that category.
No, you are.
Yes.
But it is good to see the younger people taking over.
Exactly.
I'm old. I'm in the last stage of life, and I enjoy when I see young people with showing leadership potential and then carrying it through, and I love that, and I think that's one of the most rewarding things there is. Mirelis, you are the president of the Miami Lakes Bar Association.
Yes.
Why don't you talk a little bit about the functions of the Bar Association here in Miami Lakes? What do you do? What kind of activities do you have to offer?
Of course, thank you. So the Miami Lakes Bar Association is a nonprofit legal organization comprised of members and board members that are all volunteers. We all volunteer our time. We put on continuing legal education for attorneys. We also put on community events. For example, we have next month a Women in the Law event where we have a panel of judges and attorneys. They're going to be talking about, sort of the same thing, women, issues of women in the law, hurdles that they've overcome, mentors, things of that nature. We also have a CLE coming up in May that we're doing. It's called ChatGPT with Frank Ramos, an attorney here in the community that's, talked a lot about and had this continuing legal education seminars on artificial intelligence and how to use it properly in the law, right? We're looking to do our first annual domino tournament in the fall, which I think is going to be
that
fun.
would be nice.
Nice to do here in Miami Lakes. Get different firms to also participate and do some type of event where they're all playing dominoes against each other, and there's prizes, and kind of like the tennis match now where they go to the finals, something like that. I don't know, play
Wonderful.
dominoes. So we have a few men on the board that are on the subcommittee that are handling that.
And I tell you, I know some women that are very good
Yeah,
playing
dominoes.
dominoes.
Yes.
My wife is one of them.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that in the fall, and then we try to do happy hours throughout the year, try to get the legal community here involved. We do a lot of things with St. Thomas University. We did a lunch and learn over there last month where we had a few of our board members go and talk about their different practice areas to the students. We also do mock interviews for the upcoming third-year law students that are looking to start interviewing at firms. We do mock interviews for them and give them constructive criticism so that when they go to their interviews, they're more prepared. So those are kind of the events that we do here in the community.
Mhm. Are you involved, is the association involved in any pro bono opportunities if it arises,
We're open to that. We did in December, we did a clothing drive for Camilla's house, and we raised a lot of people came with donations. Gloria was nice enough to use her office as a host, and everybody would go drop off the items there. We nicely packaged them, and we have them there ready to send to Camilla's house.
I see. Okay. Well, this is good. I have certainly enjoy being part of the sponsors
Yes.
of the Miami Lakes Bar Association
appreciate
for
my
many years,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I'm so glad. Well, I wasn't expecting it that you gave me a kind of a plate, the last ceremony that you had.
I've been a board member since 2019, and ever since then, I've always seen Miami Lakes Auto Mall, Fred Senra, Tico, AC Graphics, always, sponsoring and, helping, because at the end of the day, it's a nonprofit organization, right?
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
live off of the sponsorships, otherwise we can't do much, so it's highly appreciated.
All right. So now, what I would like to ask you is your specialties. Talk a little bit about your specialties. I know you each one have a different type of specialty, and so just briefly, starting with you, Gloria, what do you specialize on?
So I represent injured workers in workers' compensation claims. And what that means is anyone who's injured on the job. It could be anything from a small slip and fall to someone carrying a heavy item or falling off a ladder or a construction site off a roof, to terrible traumatic brain injury cases, and anywhere in between. So when I represent these injured workers, I go against the insurance company, usually asking for benefits, both medical and wage loss benefits, because obviously when somebody's injured on the job, they're no longer able to work and maintain their family until they fully recover and are able to get back into the workforce. And I like to say that I bring them back to their feet, both emotionally and financially, at the end of the claim. And it's a very rewarding job. I've been doing it for 24 years, representing injured workers, and I'm just very happy and fortunate to have met so many wonderful people along the way and so many great families.
Mhm. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I personally have been involved in a few on the other side, from the other side. So
It's
I
okay,
know a
it's
little bit
okay.
about it. And
I'm fortunate I've never been against
no,
you.
no, no. We never had.
One of my favorite things is
never
to
had the
depose
opportunity.
lawyers.
And so I represent in businesses, small, large, or, of any size, in all their employment matters. So it's, from A to Z, hiring to firing. I do the trainings, I do harassment training, all kinds of management training, employee training. I do handbooks, policies, because, handbooks and policies are good, but you need the training to go along with it, because if not, they're really useless. And sometimes they're useless even if you have the training. And when they fail, I represent businesses in all the lawsuits that are filed against them. So a big one here in South Florida is wage and hour claims. Usually when I'm hired, I help defend them in the wage and hour claim. And then after that, I come in and I do an audit and make sure that moving forward, everyone's being paid correctly, so they can avoid those lawsuits in the future. So I have a big portion of my practice is consulting with these businesses, right? How do we comply with the laws and how do we avoid the lawsuits? But when they inevitably hit, I'm there to defend them.
How important an employee manual comes into play?
So employee manuals are very important, but it's very important to have an appropriate or proper employee manual, because when you have an employee manual that's wrong Or, for example, I had a client once that came to see me, and they had an employee manual that manual guaranteed their employees at least 1 year of employment. So in Florida, if you know anything, employment is at will. So this manual changed it to 1 year employment at minimum. And it's important because I think the handbook serves as a guide for the employee on what you expect from them. And it's also a guide for you on what you can discipline on, right? If they're not following the policies and procedures, you've provided them. They have that manual, and now you can use that when you need to use it to discipline.
Do you recommend non-compete agreements with the employees? Depending on the
position, right? So, and there's a big controversy with non-competes, and the federal government has made, their noise about canceling them out. I believe non-competes are appropriate for a CEO, a COO, individuals with important information, right? High-level managers. Now, the problem was that they got excited, employers, we get excited, we have a new document, right? And they were giving non-competes to janitors, right? Or someone who really didn't
carried away.
They got carried away. And that's the problem, right? So I think an appropriate non-compete for someone who has this sensitive information, right? So if someone who has all your pricing details, your suppliers, that kind of information, that's sensitive information that if they go to the other competitor, right, they can use that to their advantage. So in those instances, you should have a proper non-compete, and more important than that, a non-solicitation agreement, right, in place, because it's all more important than that non-compete, right? Because you don't want them to solicit your customers or your employees, right? And that's a lot of individuals don't realize that. Even businesses, they're so focused on the non-compete, that they lose, the forest for the trees. And that's a very important, but it's really contingent on those positions. And I think those high level positions they need a proper and confidentiality agreement.
I strongly agree with you.
Yeah, it's very important. It is. It's so important, and it's important to have it drafted by an attorney and not LegalZoom.
Or artificial intelligence.
Yes, or ChatGPT, right? It is so important because it could be more damning. If you have a bad contract, if you have a bad employee handbook, it could do more harm than help. Having the right documents can save you. It's your first line of defense in a lawsuit.
Exactly. I agree. Mireles, and your expertise?
My expertise is, for 17 years, I've been doing defense work, representing insurance companies and businesses. So I am hired by the insurance company to represent their insured. Sometimes it's individuals, sometimes it's businesses in premises, a liability lawsuit, so a slip and fall, a trip and fall at Publix.
So sometimes you can go.
We can have overlap.
You can have a little bit of a war between you and
Although
Gloria.
she doesn't necessarily do workers' comp defense.
No, I don't do any workers' comp. I do what they call third-party defense. So it's the
okay.
individual that it could be also
It could be
Gloria's client that is also suing Publix because they slipped and fell at Publix, but they were on the job when they did so. So they go to Gloria for workers' comp, and then Publix is hiring me to represent them in the slip and fall matter. I also handle motor vehicle accident cases, a lot of trucking, transportation, that type of stuff.
Well, that's good. I'm sure you're busy because the way people drive in this town. I'm sure there's a lot of situations there that could be created. In every person that has a career, that has there's always the factor of mentorship, and I think it is important because you want to make sure that you mentor, the younger generation, or even at the same level that you're in. Some people need mentoring more than others. Are you guys involved in any of that in your fields right now, or?
I happen to be one of those strong supporters of women in the law, and I've mentored a lot of. I've had the pleasure of mentoring a lot of female women. By chance, by friendship, and then by choice. And some of them are even my employees. I've had in my firm, I've had 2 file clerks go to law school. I hired my niece who went to law school. She's now my associate. And I had a former associate who worked with me also before. So that's 4 women that have now become lawyers. And there's another one on their way. Actually, it just got into law school and she'll be attending UM in the fall. And I think that I would hope that it's because they see that it's possible, and they see that it's not, you know, it's not something that you should look back on as saying it's an impossible task to do, the life balance and the whole work. But I also think that they see the compassion and the kindness, and I really try to tell, as a mentor, try to tell these girls that you have to give yourself some grace, right? It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be perfect. It's something about just keep going, move forward, and getting the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if you give yourself that grace and that understanding that it's not always going to be like that, you set a perfect example for everyone to be able to think that they can also accomplish the same things.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Well, you said mentoring within the same, and I consider Gloria one of my mentors, right? Because she really has been a beacon and a guiding light for me since I decided to go off on my own. And, you know, whether I have a question or, you know, I'm worried about hiring someone or growing my firm, not growing my firm, I know that I can always talk to Gloria, and she has served as such an important role model for me. And you know, we both have 3 kids. So I feel that I have this extra connection with Gloria. I'm like, okay, she can do it. I can do it. Let's see how to do it. All right, let me look to Gloria.
You're doing great.
Let me look to Gloria as to what I can do. And I mean, just Gloria's presence. And I said it. She's a wonderful human being. Aside from attorney and anything
We
else,
know. We know.
just human being.
How wonderful she is.
She really, really is. And then I tried. You know, I was a partner at my firm, and all the associates that came in, we, you know, whenever there was a female associate or even a male associate, just to make sure to mentor them, right? It's important. I'm really involved. I'm actually the president of my law school association this year, and that's part of my goal, is to really get the younger attorneys involved, right? To show them the importance of mentorship, to show them the importance of community. And I've really tried to mimic Gloria's
Thank you.
behaviors.
That's good. That's wonderful.
I have to say that coming up, right, practicing law at the beginning, there were no female mentors. I was in a male-dominated industry, and it was so difficult. And it wasn't until, you know, like this community that we have this chat, and we have, you know, attorney friends, females that are doing this. My front door neighbor does the same thing that I do, and so we'll sit together, have a glass of wine, and, you know, talk about the issues we face. And that's sort of the mentor that I've had, that type of mentorship. Gloria, Suhail, those type of people that we communicate with about these things, even going out to dinner and just talking about, you know, law stuff, things that go on, obstacles that you're trying to overcome. Maybe they did as well, and so they give you some advice. But and I think we need more female, you know, mentors, because like Gloria said, it was male dominated at one point, and now there's so many more female attorneys, and I think those
I think that has changed quite a bit.
quite a bit, and I think those female attorneys need those mentors. I get to do it at my job. I'm blessed to be able to have a group of associates that work under me, and I mentor them, and I feel blessed to be able to do that and give back. I didn't have that as much when I started, so I appreciate it even more.
No, let me tell you, I had it was a pleasant surprise. We were at a closing many years ago of an auto dealership, and at that time we were using a firm from New York, and this firm was pretty big. And then the firm sent us a lady attorney, and she was probably 5'2" or 5'1", little thing. And she says, "Well, I'm gonna be the one doing this thing." I looked at my partner. He looked at me, and I said, "Oh wow, we're in for a treat." Let me tell you how wrong we were, because that woman said the whole thing straight. I mean, and a closing on an auto dealership is not easy. You know, it takes a lot, because there's a lot of different fields that you have to reconcile, and you have to make sure that all the things are, you know, in order. And besides, there's a lot of money involved. And she represented us very well, and we came out, you know, winning in that, in that situation. So you never. I've been dealing with women attorneys for a long time, and I really enjoy it. So, do you have any questions for me?
I think we've made pretty much the point that it's a wonderful career to have, and it's wonderful to have a beautiful community that supports you. And I just want to thank you, because again, reiterate your support personally and professionally for all of us has been just, I mean, so valuable to the advancement of our professional careers and us as moms and wives, etc. So thank you, Digo. Thank you, AC Graphics. Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Fred. We appreciate all your support.
Well, we appreciate
We
you.
really do.
having
We
we
appreciate you having us today.
Well,
We appreciate this community. It's
We
great.
love having you here today. Believe me, it's the first time we have 3 people. We've had 2 in a few occasions. We did one podcast in Spanish for the first time a week ago, about 10 days ago, which I think it was great. So we're experimenting, and as we go along, and so it doesn't have to be the same. So thank you so much for being here, and until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.